Good morning, traders. This is a live trade recap. It's 6:11 a.m. Wednesday, December 9th. I took 2 trades in the pre-market. You can see in the video here, I was on right around 4 a.m. This is a very long video, but I'm going to just fast forward through a whole bunch of it. I just want to show you the very beginning. Cidm was one of the top gainers, and with the most volume. It's number 2 on the list right here, but it quickly achieves number 1. So I add it to my Wednesday watch list. Just take a look around at some other stocks. So as soon as I open it up, okay, let's try to get where I took that position. This is going to be tough because this video is so long, it's difficult to scroll. And Cidm had a float of about 70 million. So there you can see it popped up to the number 1 volume. So notice this huge bull flag, well, not bull flag, but engulfing candle. So I jump in. This is a pretty aggressive entry. I just thinking that this thing is on its way up, and let me get in on the front side. The problem with that entry was if I enter on the front side, I gotta have the second candle open below the top of the first. That way I can have a nice tight stop. So now I'm trying to figure out where my stop should be, which is bad because that's something I probably should have just got out right there, really, looking back. Because that entry was just way too knee-jerk. And these frontside entries work for me a lot, but the problem with an entry like that is when it doesn't work. It's like a situation where one bad trade could wipe out 10 good trades. So first I start getting a 2-hour order ready. I guess kind of wishful thinking. But also notice where the bottom is here from the aftermarket. That would have been, since this was such an aggressive entry and the stock was chopping a lot here, I think a wiser stop would have been down here below these candles, because if it breaks that level, then you could say, okay, this thing is probably failing. But I had mine at the bottom of this candle. It's essentially 99 cents, so if I saw 98, I was willing to get out. I did, the longer I was in this, you see me drag this down. I should have sold half there, really. Just not because this just wasn't a good entry. So well, if only I wonder if I would have pulled it all the way down to 111 if I would have got filled. But this is this is really bad trading. Started off bad, and everything else was bad about it. So let's fast forward a little bit here. So it's coming down, not looking good. I lowered my stop a little bit. I was just trying to get it to make more sense. And well, there you can see I had it below, but then I think I got worried about thinking, oh, I'm going to protect my capital by getting out sooner. Oh yeah, I checked out Archon too. It didn't look good. So there, look, that was the mistake I made. I think, the second big mistake. The first big mistake was that entry was not good. But since it was such an aggressive entry and a high entry, I think I should have had my stop down here and use that for my 2R. But you know, when you start off bad, the trade usually doesn't end well. So now it's hitting my new stop, and I got out, which honoring your stop is always a good thing to do. But here I think my entry was wrong, my stop price was wrong, so I took a big hit there, about $4. Now here's where let's go to the second trade. So this would have been a smarter entry from the beginning, not taking that first one. This is still pretty aggressive because it's a reversal entry. You're not sure if this thing's going to trend back up or not yet. But the better thing about this entry compared to the first is that you get a tighter stop because the candle here is very small. I think it was like a 3-cent candle, right? So it's pretty easy to get 2R off of that. So I get in as soon as it breaks the high of that candle. And I decide this is where my stop is. If it breaks that level, I'm out. And then based on the size of this candle, I do a 2R order, which I think is like at $1.07 eventually. Yeah. And I figure, so no, what I'm doing now is selling 90% at 2R. That way I can hold the rest if it actually goes up. So this thing's like chopping around, but I just tell myself, if I can't hold 2R on a 3-cent candle, then I'm never going to be able to hold 2R. So let me just sit on it. So that's what I do, and eventually it takes a little while. So then so notice the time. It's like 4:14, and my 2R order gets hit. And I sell 90% there. So I sold 90%, so 34 shares at 107. So that's only a 5-cent move. Keep in mind I lost $4 already, so that's like $1.70. I mean that's a fine trade in and of itself because it had a reasonable entry, reasonable stop, easy to get to 2R. But the previous trade kind of ruined it. So I got $1.70 there. Now I still have 4 shares, which I'm holding just in case this thing runs higher, right? So now let's see what happens. So it does like a nice little uptrend, then a pullback. And I'm holding until, I think at this point, I think I said I'm going to hold through my stop. But pretty quickly, like as it continues higher, I'm sure I decided to hold until it hits my entry. Now it breaks the high of day. That was another possible entry. If you didn't get in where I did, you could have just said, okay, well, let me wait until this uptrend is confirmed. Actually, it's kind of confirmed after this pullback here. So this thing just takes off. So now I'm thinking maybe I'm going to make my money back, right? So I start figuring out, okay, if I sell two shares at 212, that'll be break even. I'll have 2 shares left over. So there's some strategy to this, but of course that's a lot of pressure on the stock to go that high, and I know it very well may not. I'm marking out some resistance lines here, some support lines, just trying to decide where I'm going to consider this thing failed, and I just restarted Weeble just because of the watch list, or the screener. Okay, so I just want to show you, I did add, because now I got, okay, so yeah, I figured that, if I averaged up, I can't average down, that's against the rules for me. But if I'm in a winning trade, I could average up. I generally don't, but I was just trying to make it so that I could get to break even a little sooner than 212. So I start averaging in. So I think I went from 102 to 107, almost 108. And then, then I move. So now if I sell 3 at 180, I'm break even. Let's see here. Just look at, so the volume in this thing's pretty huge. So it does continue higher. Makes a new high there at 143. Does some pulling back, but, have some like obvious support areas. Look how it's already an hour into this trade, basically. So 144. Now it's starting to pull back, which is to be expected. It's really overextended. It's just a question of how much is it going to pull back. So now it looks like it's starting to head down. And I mean, since my position's so much lower, like I'm okay, like holding through, a bit of a downtrend. And I'm looking at different time frames and, seeing what the pattern looks like, because other people use, larger time frames to trade off of. So I'm just making sure that there's still some good setups, and that's definitely true on both of these patterns. But overall, what a pain in the butt. I that first trade was so bad that I had to spend a couple hours just trying to make it back. So now, this thing, it's, starting to kind of fade, basically. Volume is disappearing. So I get to a point where, see, I mark out this 125 level, which is a strong support. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute candles that touched it and bounced off. So I'm essentially at this point considering, if it breaks that 125, that this thing has failed. It's it's likely to continue down further, and I'm okay with selling at that point. Now the other possibility is that it breaks that 125 and then bounces. So I decide I'm going to sell half if it hits 124, just in case it does bounce. Then I have a chance to continue to make a little bit of money. So there, it does break the 125. It hits 124. I sell there. So here's the okay, it's hitting 125. I just want you to see how quickly it comes down and goes back up. So there's 125. It's going to come to 124 in just a second here. There we go, 124, and I hit the sell half immediately. I get filled at 126 because it popped back up just that fast. So now the idea is, look how close it is to 6 o'clock. I figure if this thing can make it to 6 o'clock, two things are going to happen. It's either going to bounce and shoot up real high, or it's going to sell off. And since I sold this at 124, now my new level that I consider it failed is 123. So let's fast forward. So now it's 6 o'clock. So you do get some people coming in and buying this thing. But then it starts to sell off, and then there it dropped down below that 123 level. So I got rid of the rest. It may have curled back up by now. I'm almost certain that it's going to bounce at some point, but I was already in this thing for 2 hours just trying to make back my loss, and I made most of it back, because essentially, well, yeah, a little more than half of it back, because it was like a $4 loss. So now it's a $1.70 loss, and that was a pain in the butt. So two things that I could have done differently there is, on that first trade, again, should not have entered, But since I did, I should have kept my stop here, and it was there at one point, and it never got triggered at that level, and I would have been in the green eventually. Although I don't think I would have held to 2R, but it did do that. But I don't know that I would have held just because the entry was so, like I said, so knee-jerk. Here's where it is right now. This is now almost 6:30. And it went all the way down to 115, which was only 2 cents above my position, and then it's finally bounced, but it's only gone up to 128. So who knows how, if this thing's gonna continue on. We'll see. It'll probably do something interesting at the open, that's for sure. But yeah, let me just show you really quick, if you're still hanging around, how it did do the 2R. Even in my original entry, if my stop would have been, say, the low of the aftermarket, right here, not the low, not the entire low, but so these candles are at 97, and you see it never broke that level. So if my stop was here instead of here, 97 cents, and I think my entry was $1.09, so that's 12 cents, so 24 cents total that it had to go above the $1.09. So was that $1.33 it had to hit, right? And it does hit it. Like, it took a little while, but yeah, it hits it. $1.33 right there at 4:35. So it would have been out of the trade at 4:35 and in the money pretty substantially, because what did I say that was? Sorry, 97 cents and 109. What is that? Geez, 12. Sorry, I'm super tired. So 24 cents times, I think, 34 shares. Yeah, $8. So it would have been up $8 instead of down $1.70. So yeah, one of my typical things is whenever I enter to put my stop at the low of the previous 1 minute candle, which that's a good thing to do if you're buying on a pullback. But if you do one of these front side trades like I did here, I think it's too aggressive of a stop. So yeah, you just got to give it more room if you're going to do one of these crazy front side entries like that. And I should probably stop doing those, because when they do fail, they really hurt, and you feel like an idiot for taking such an aggressive entry. So anyway, I'll see you guys at the open, and hope you got something out of that. Sorry that was a long video, but man, that was a long trade. All right, take care.